Emily's heart pounded against her ribcage as she stepped into the luxurious hotel suite, the scent of fresh roses and vanilla filling the air. Golden balloons floated across the ceiling, and her closest friends danced under the glimmering chandelier, glasses of champagne in hand. She smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest. It was her night, a celebration of love, of transition, of the next chapter of her life. Jenna, her best friend since college, wrapped an arm around her shoulder. "Come on, Emily. One last wild night before you're officially Mrs. Carter." Emily laughed, shaking her head. "You know I'm not the wild type, Jenna. I just want a simple, classy night." Jenna nudged her playfully. "Exactly. That's why we got you the VIP lounge at the club. Just one drink, I promise." The club was electric, neon lights flickering in sync with the bass-heavy music. Emily held onto her cocktail, sipping slowly as Jenna twirled around, laughing. The drink was stronger than she expected, and warmth bloomed in her chest, a hazy feeling seeping into her limbs. Across the room, a man watched her. Tall, with a chiseled jawline and piercing eyes, he smirked when she met his gaze. He approached with an air of confidence, his voice smooth as he leaned in. "Need some air?" Emily nodded, following him to a private lounge area. The world spun slightly, and she rubbed her temples. "I think my drink was too strong." His smirk deepened. "Let me help you relax." Something about the moment, the way the light softened around them, the way her body hummed with unfamiliar sensations, led to something irreversible. The night blurred, and when she woke the next morning, her heart sank at the sight of the stranger beside her. She bolted upright, clutching the sheets. "Oh my God. No, 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 no." The man stretched lazily, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Leaving so soon?" Panic clawed at her chest. "This can't be happening. I'm getting married in 2 days." His expression shifted, surprise flashing across his face. "Well, that's a twist." Tears burned in her eyes as she stumbled out of bed, dressing hastily. Shame, guilt, regret, they all warred inside her. How could she have let this happen? Back at her apartment, Jenna's worried face greeted her. Where did you disappear last night? We were so worried." Emily broke down, confessing everything. Jenna gasped, covering her mouth. "Oh my God. What are you going to do?" "Jason can't know. But I don't know how to face him. I was supposed to wait for him. I ruined everything." The next evening, at Jason's family's business dinner, Emily's stomach twisted in knots. She forced a smile, greeting guests, until her eyes locked onto a familiar figure across the room. The stranger. Her breath hitched. He smirked, his gaze laced with mischief. Jason's father clapped a hand on his back. "Emily, meet Nathan, my business partner's son. He just got back from overseas." Nathan's eyes twinkled with amusement. "We've already met." Emily's world tilted as Jason's smile faltered. Her pulse roared in her ears. Jason frowned, looking between them. "Wait, what do you mean you've met before?" Nathan chuckled, his smirk deepening. "Oh, it's just a small world, isn't it?" Emily swallowed hard, forcing a nervous laugh. "Yeah, small world." The tension at the table thickened, but Jason, oblivious, continued introducing Nathan to the rest of the family. Throughout dinner, Nathan's gaze burned into Emily, a silent reminder of what had happened. Later that night, Emily found herself alone in the hallway when Nathan approached, standing too close. "You're shaking," he whispered, his voice laced with amusement. "Please, don't say anything," she begged, her voice barely above a whisper. He leaned in slightly. "That depends." "On what?" she asked, dread curling in her stomach. Nathan's smirk faded into something more serious. "On whether or not you really love Jason." Emily stared at him, her heart pounding. "I do love him. More than anything." Nathan studied her for a long moment before sighing. "Then I won't say a word. But can you live with this secret?" Emily's eyes stung. "I have to." The wedding day arrived. Emily stood in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection in her white gown. Her secret weighed on her, but she had made her choice. As she walked down the aisle, Jason's smile was full of love and devotion. He had no idea what had happened, and Emily vowed to never let it ruin their future. But as she reached Jason, she noticed Nathan in the crowd, watching her with knowing eyes. Her heart pounded. She had her happily ever after, but at what cost? As the ceremony ended and Emily and Jason shared their first kiss as husband and wife, Emily couldn't shake off the feeling of guilt and anxiety. She knew that she had to keep her secret hidden, not just from Jason, but from everyone. The reception was a blur of laughter, music, and champagne toasts. Emily put on a brave face, smiling and chatting with their guests, but inside, she was dying. Nathan's presence at the wedding had unsettled her. She couldn't understand why he had come, or what he wanted from her. She tried to avoid him, but she could feel his eyes on her all night. As the evening wore on, Emily began to feel like she was living a lie. She had married the man she loved, but she had also kept a secret from him that could potentially destroy their relationship. She knew that she had to find a way to deal with her guilt and anxiety, or risk losing everything she had worked so hard to build. The honeymoon was a welcome distraction from Emily's troubles. She and Jason spent 2 blissful weeks in Bora Bora, snorkeling, sunbathing, and enjoying each other's company. But even in paradise, Emily couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. She knew that she had to confront her secrets and fears head-on, or risk losing the love and trust of her husband. As they settled back into their routine at home, Emily began to feel the weight of her secrets bearing down on her. She knew that she had to find a way to confess to Jason, but she was terrified of losing him. One night, as they were getting ready for bed, Emily turned to Jason and took a deep breath. "Jason, I need to tell you something," she said, her voice trembling. Jason looked at her with concern. "What is it, Emily? You can tell me anything." Emily took another deep breath and let it all out. She told Jason everything, about the night at the club, about Nathan, about the guilt and anxiety that had been eating away at her. Jason listened, his face expressionless. When Emily finished speaking, he didn't say anything for a long time. Emily's heart sank. She knew that she had hurt him, and she didn't blame him for being angry. But then, Jason spoke. "Emily, I love you," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I love you, not for who you were before we met, but for who you are now. And I forgive you." Emily burst into tears, relief washing over her. She knew that she had been given a second chance, and she was determined to make the most of it. As they hugged, Emily knew that their love was strong enough to overcome any obstacle. And she was grateful for a second chance to make things right. Epilogue. Emily and Jason's marriage was not without its challenges, but they faced them together, as a team. They knew that their love was strong enough to overcome any obstacle, and they were determined to make their relationship work. Nathan was never seen or heard from again, and Emily was grateful for that. She knew that she had been given a second chance, and she was determined to make the most of it. In the end, Emily learned that secrets and lies can destroy relationships, but honesty and forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds. And she was grateful for a second chance to make things right. Subscribe, comment, like and share our content.